Thank you.
Thanks, and thanks, Don, for organizing it. And honestly, what I'd like to say is like everything that is showed, all the tools, right, has been something I've been talking to Anne personally, is the fact that now you have actually you have changed what's happening in the world. And now I'm thinking of it as a one-man band where I'm actually trying to solve a problem because this is dear to my heart. And I personally got into depression because of the fact that how the world is turning. And I look at how the climate change is happening, what can I do as an individual to help it? And so this idea of trying to solve that fashion overconsumption issue came about. And the fact is that I had to learn about coding. I have to learn about I have no experience with it, but suddenly I was like, hey, with all the tools that you have demoed today, this has actually helped me to get on this journey where I can become that person to actually make a difference and make some efforts in trying to change the world in any small means. And so this is something where I'm actually building up, and I would love to be able to show it. And I'm only start my journey, and I would love if anybody who have any experience or any more tools like how you can help me as an individual and also future and people to be able to get on their own journey to solve small problems that they have and try to help everybody else. Cool. So yeah, so let me share my screen. Yeah. Oh, okay. And I need some help in the sharing of screen.
I'm so sorry, Paris. I thought I did that. Hold on one second here.
Oh,
Oh, there we go. Okay. Go
and then
for it.
oh, cool. Mm. Okay, so I just wanted to pull up some information and some stats. So in 2024, for the last 3 months or so, we have wildfire in Texas. We have flooding in New England. We have drought in Amazon, Brazil. And then we have blizzards in Newfoundland, Canada. So this all happens in a month of 3 months. Climate change is not just about water temperature increasing, but the fact is that a lot of the issues become more extreme. So these are just some of the things where fashion overconsumption has been happening. And for example, in Chile, there's been a landfill of clothing, and then there's rubbish of clothing in Ghana. And then in this documentary, which if anybody is interested, you should go and watch, because what happens is that they took new clothes, which is not being worn, and basically they actually shred it out and then cut it up, and afterwards then make them into textile again. And so what happens is that now this is resold back to the retailers and says that, hey, this is all we have actually renewable textile, but in reality, it's not really renewable. It's just that it has not been worn and they've not used it. So it's quite a waste of resources and productivity. Then over here in Kenya itself, if you look at the Nike shoe, the Nike shoe, right, looks quite the you can see that the shoe base, it looks quite alright. It's just that it looks dirty because it's in a dumpster. But in reality, if let's say there's something that we dump in there, it's such a waste.
Mm.
So what we have over here is the fact that from Earth.org, right, which I ensured that it is not is factual, is the fact that fashion industry takes out around 10%, while flight and maritime transport takes out about 5% of the CO2 consumption. And so over here, they have this fact: 92 million tons of clothing-related waste are discarded every year. That means a garbage truck full of clothes is generated, sent to landfill every second. And so it's enough to fuel 1.5 Empire State Building every day. So the reason why do we actually wanted to buy clothes? There's a lot of reasons from my research. Number one, it's fun. Like I have friends who actually enjoy shopping. And the other one is because they want to fit into a social circle. And the last part is because they're not aware of what's in their wardrobe. For example, I go and buy a black dress or a black shirt. And the thing is that I don't really realize that I have a similar one back in my closet itself. So for the first, where it's fun and it's social circle, I think that we can't solve it as of now. But then for the awareness itself, it's something I'm looking to solve. But let me talk about a personal story. So for me, I am a person who don't really like shopping. And I usually try to use what I have in my closet. But then during my birthday itself, my wife came to me and said, hey, you should wear this Paris shirt that I bought for you 9 months ago. And I was like, what shirt? And then basically I went through the closet and I found it. And there's like tags, there are stickers, and there's the unwashed smell of a new shirt that have not been worn. And then I did a calculation on all my clothes because I was like, hey, that's impossible. I found that I have like 70 pieces of clothes and not all of them have been worn. And so I realized that I have the problem where I'm not even aware. I personally don't like shopping. I'm not even aware of what I have in my clothing, in my closet. So I realized that maybe I would want to create something where I can shop within everybody's closet. For example, you can find what's in your closet easily without you trying to go and look at it one by one. So the idea is basically that I'm trying to create a virtual closet where it's made of two main components. One, your closet and your outfit. So a closet is a place where you upload, view, and edit all your clothes inside your records. And so you can basically, when you edit it, right, you basically is trying to understand about, hey, I need to update the metadata of the information. For example, is it like is the clothes mainly for season, or is it like spring, summer, autumn, winter? Or is it basically like I like white, what's the color? White, beige, orange, etc. And then if you wanted to remove them from the closet, you can do that in four main ways. One, you can remove it where basically you can say that I have sold it, I've swapped it away, and then I have actually give away, or the last one is to throw away. But I really hope that if you want to throw away, make sure it's torn and tattered. And you can't actually do it in the other three ways. So for the outfit section itself, is basically trying to understand what kind of clothes do you wear every day. So for example, you can mix and match all your different clothing, and at the end of the next day, once you mix and match, they will tell you, do you like your clothes? And then you basically give 1 star, 5 star. So over time, right, if you put 5 star for most of the clothes that you like, they'll actually help you to find out what's your own personal style. And so you're not kind of follow the fashion trend, but basically finding your own personal style itself. And then if you have things that you basically have not worn for the last 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, you can tell yourself very easily that, hey, is this something that I really don't like? And maybe I should be do that, either sell it, give away, or throw it. Not throw it, but basically like swap it away. So to do all this, right, one of the challenges is the fact that we needed to be able to engage with everybody. And I really hope that everybody in the world will have this virtual closet. And so we need to have a cross-platform app. So one of the challenge that I have is the fact that I have no development experience. I was explaining to Anne that with all the tools now and with all the things that's happening, now generative AI has assisted me to the way where I'm thinking, could I actually develop this app on my own? And so I started off with using no-code environment where basically I try to use Flutter Flow. So Flutter is basically a cross-platform app, coding language, coding framework itself. And so when I tried doing that, I realized that it doesn't really work because the way that I want to implement the app itself, that it may be a bit more complex. It doesn't go the same way as what they actually expect us to do. So I pivoted and I used generative AI plus coding. And so basically I started to use Flutter on its own and basically build. So one of a few challenges that came out with that, number one, I don't even understand the concepts about programming language. So what I did, I basically go to ChatGPT and said, I want to learn this concept. And then could you tell me and test me on what is that? They asked me a bunch of questions. And as you know, I have no experience, I have no understanding. I basically said, okay, I go to Perplexity now. And basically I said, can you please provide me with a simple analogy of each and every single question? So for example, for this, I was asking them about composition and inheritance. Then they provide me with the analogy. There's like building a car using various parts. Inheritance is like a family tree. And so with that information, actually being able to explain it back to ChatGPT. And so by explaining it back to them, they actually tell me what understanding do I have. And then this process will go through a couple of rounds until I'm fairly certain that I think I understand the answer. And it's when I started to look at how to encode it. So looking at this, right, I say that, okay, I need to build them into code structure. The reason as everybody knows that generative AI will hallucinate as what it should with Tyler itself. So basically the more context you give them, the more possibility of hallucination, and they'll lose trace of what's happening. So you have to make it modular. So I basically said, hey, can you give me a suggested code structure? And so basically they say, oh, so for the models itself, you can break them to clothing items, outfit, etc. And then they basically broke them into this folder where you can actually being able to break it down and being able to use it easily. And so using this code structure itself, for each and every one with the dot, I was able to tell them, hey, I want to code this, and this is the function that I want to achieve. And based on that, they give me a list of code that I can try to use. And most of the time, it's not going to work. And so we have to try to look under error understanding. And so GPT 4 itself allows you to take a screenshot, dump it in, and basically I say, this is all my errors. I provide them with my issue. I provide them with the relevant code. And then they give me and tell me, hey, these are all my error message. And this is how you could actually try to correct that. And so this will go through over and over again. So while doing this whole project itself and at this journey itself, is it all perfect? No, not really. So basically, there is a lot of context that's required, and sometimes itself they may not understand what you're trying to ask, and so you may need to provide more information. And then sometimes they provide you with the wrong information. So, for example, in the Oracle itself, they basically told me, oh, you should get the newest Oracle SDK. I downloaded it, and I realized that Grader itself in Flutter doesn't use the newest one, they use the older version. And so I spent 6 hours trying to figure out the problem. And so sometimes we can't really trust them all the time. And sometimes when you ask them this question itself, they keep going round and round and round over the same problem, and they really can't address the problem for you. And so the alternative for me, right, is basically, that's what I learned, is basically number one, ask them to explain. So for each and every line of code, ask them to explain what is it trying to do and what they're trying to do. And if need be, ask them to provide simple analogy of what is it. The other one, go to YouTube, go and watch actual people doing it. And I think sometimes one thing I learned itself is basically there's this double quotation mark and the single quotation mark. In programming language, that actually means something. And so basically I saw someone putting single, while I put double, I change it, immediately works. And I spend like a few hours working through it. And the last thing is basically going back to source. So for example, we can go to pub.dev and then or basically GitHub to basically look at the source of that library itself. And that is the best way to actually make sure that you actually got it correct. And so with this, right, I'm still at the start of this journey. And with the tools that's been introduced earlier, I'm hoping that I could get this up and being able to do my part in trying to address it. And so I'm trying to get early release and trying to get 95 people to join me in this early release and being able to make the world a better place.
I'm scanning your QR code this very instant.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Are you open for questions?
Yes, I am.
Well, first of all, thank you for taking us with you on the journey, because like it's so helpful for me to even think about how I could go from a problem that I know is bugging me. I don't exactly know what goes on behind it, to begin to figure out how I could make a little bit of a difference. So I really appreciate like that point of view that you dove in with, of like figuring out how you as a single individual can make an impact in the world, and then how you didn't take some of the obvious setbacks that people would probably just be like, well, I can't build this because I don't know how to do that kind of coding or whatever. But instead, you said, okay, I accept that, these are the limitations that I'm working in. How do I work around them? So I'm like seeing how your approach to problem solving, like how you kind of aren't taking no for an answer. Just because things are the way they are, it's like they don't have to be that way necessarily. So I really appreciate that. And I also wanted to ask you, like, what's your big vision for the product or the app? What's your big dream for like 5 years from now? What do you think you may have accomplished?
My big dream is that we as a group of all the players in this area, right, we are able to tackle at least the number of people in Duolingo. So Duolingo have around 500 million downloads in Android app. And I really hope that the world itself will get to the instance of we all must have a virtual closet, because we should always buy clothes that we need and not because we are not aware. So that's my goal and my dream. And I always say I always tell my wife is that all of them are not competitors. We are all players. We are all trying to make the world a better place.
Yeah. This is incredible. Donna, do you want to navigate questions? I'm going to look at this website, and we'll also be wanting to let people go when they need to. But does anyone have questions for Paris?
Well, I will just first of all, you've got some steps. I think are right here in our group for sure. I think quite honestly, everybody. I mean, the cause itself and the fact that you recognized it, and as I mentioned, decided that you personally wanted to do something about it is way beyond admirable. And I think what's interesting to me is, one, I'm totally on board with the mission is 100% real and important, and it's great. And we don't talk about it enough. And I'm a person that historically has probably wasted way too many clothes. But I think somebody kind of alluded to it. The fact that you've used the same mentality and tenacity and drive to learn how to make the app to help solve the problem is just so cool and so inspirational. And I mean, you're not taking no for an answer. Just in the production, just in getting this thing going, which is so cool, and it says a lot about you and your work ethic. And I'm really excited about it. So, if anybody else has any questions, by all means, you can hop on. But I think I'm getting there's a few people that kind of feel as I do as well.
Yeah, I'm seeing lots of people nod their heads. Thank you for sharing, Paris, and be sure to also let us know when things like when you bump up against something and you can't solve it, because we're all now you're stuck with us. Now we're on the journey with you. Everybody, thank you for sharing another Saturday afternoon with us. It was really special to have everyone together. Wendy, I love when you're here, and I can wonder where the heck you are and what you're up to. I know you're out in the middle of nowhere. I can't remember where you are though. You're somewhere. You're
This morning is my morning. I'm in a national park called Falls Creek, and I'm literally staring at country. So I think it's a test on how you can keep up with technology and be human at the same time.
Yeah, you can. So Wendy and Dr. Elfer, Cami, I think, and do we have one other author? Oh, and Pete Kaminsky are all co-authors of a book called AI Futures that launched maybe 3.5 weeks ago or so, I think. Really, really good book. It's available on Amazon. It's also published by Turkey Hill Press, my friend here who's on the call or maybe dropped off, Cindy Coons, and really, really neat book. I think those of us who are like, I don't know, I'm excited about the possibility of having a book that included about AI that's written using AI about this era of AI. We'll be like, yeah, you guys were talking about it when you had to write prompts. Anyway, I appreciate everybody for being here. Tyler, thank you. James and Lillian, thank you. Great to see everybody, and enjoy the rest of your week. You're going to get an email with follow-up information, and yeah. Thanks again for another great Saturday, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.